Alrighty, we're in. Burr, 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 burr.
We're back for another week.
Yeah, welcome back to Creative Talk Podcast, everybody. We made it through another week. And we're here a little bit earlier than our normal time slot, which is like 4 o'clock, but it's mainly because we've got stuff to do. So.
We've been very busy, so we're trying to slot in the podcast because it's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it consistent. We're trying to keep up with the volume. Thank you to all the new followers and people who have been viewing our podcast on YouTube. If you have not found it, you can search it up by just going on Creative Talk Podcast and you will find it.
Yes.
We go out live every single week on Instagram, on Facebook, and also on Twitch and
YouTube?
A lot of other platforms. Yeah, and YouTube. Yes. Yeah. We love YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. It's really cool.
What are we talking about today, Kebrasca?
Well, actually, we're not going to be talking.
Oh, so what are we doing? We're going to zip it.
So we're going to be following and looking at a particular guy. And this is going to be a series of content that Amber and I do to help people who are wanting to grow their own businesses, grow their own brands, grow their own businesses using social media, and also using some of the people who actually inspire us and give us hints, tips, tricks on how you can grow a brand, use social media, be smart about content, and all the things that people ask us every single week.
Yeah.
So instead of like always giving information one by one to the people that we work with, which is what we do, we decided to use one of our people that we are inspired by. His name is Caleb, and play his video while also giving you our insights as well. So not only do you get Caleb's insights, you also get ours and our feedback on Caleb's feedback to give you the best feedback that we could possibly come up with.
So it's like a 3-in-1 deal.
It's like a 3-in-1 deal. Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Is that all?
I mean, that's a lot because you're getting 3 great minds in marketing, aren't you?
You are. Just between Amber and I, you've got 150 years experience in the marketing realm. With Caleb, that's probably right. An extra 10. He's been in the game for a little bit.
He's a little bit younger than us, but why is he famous? Does he talk about this in the intro, or should we kind of give him an intro?
No, he doesn't talk about himself at all. That's what makes his content so good. Caleb Ralston, if you have not heard of him, you probably haven't. You would have heard the people that he's made famous, though. Yes. On YouTube, like people like Gary Vee, Alex Mosley. Like there are so many people that he has actually helped build their brands, and now he's no longer under contract with any of those people. He's come out with like his very first piece of content as a 6-hour video on how to build your brand and what to do on social media and the platforms. And I highly recommend anyone in 2025 that is looking to build anything on digital, go and check this out. We're going to go step through probably like the first hour, 40 minutes of this, giving our feedback. And like I said, this is going to be an ongoing content series over the next couple of weeks. We will break down each hour of Caleb's course and share it with you, give our insights at the same time.
That's 6 hours of information right there that he talks about, and we're going to add to it.
Yes, correct. We are going to go through the first hour of his 6 hour. You can actually go on YouTube yourself, look up Caleb Ralston, go through the 6 hours of this particular episode that he's created. I will shit you not. It is amazing. It is next level. It has all the information for any creator, any influencer, any brand, any business, any entrepreneur. If you want to know how to do social media properly in 2025, you need to watch this. You need to watch this. Amber, any other words? I think Amber's still at the gym. She's not actually here.
Let's do it. Let's watch it.
She looks like she needs a cup of tea.
Look, I've got a cup of tea. I'm ready. I just don't have my biscuits.
Maybe you should drink my Coca-Cola.
Just don't burp in our ears.
Oh, I won't do that. Oh, not just yet. Anyway. All right, so we're going to kick into how to build a brand and watch the first kind of episode of this.
Right now, you're on one of 2 paths. Path 1 is the forgettable brand. You post content randomly, hoping that something's gonna stick. People have no idea who you are or what you do, so they do not engage, and they definitely don't buy. Now, path number 2 is the
Saba, how are
intentional
you?
brand. This is where you own
Great to have you
what
tuning
people
in on
associate
YouTube.
with you.
Thanks
Your
for watching.
content builds trust and moves people toward a decision. If you're on path number 1 right now, this course is going to get you onto path number 2 and save you years and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mistakes. And if you have identified that you're on path number 2, odds are you've probably hit a ceiling that you have not been able to break through. This course is going to help you smash through that ceiling and actually hit the scale that you've been wanting. This course is not just theory. It's built from real execution and my 16 years of experience in building brands online. So here's what we're going to cover.
I don't know if you saw that, but he's generated over 30 million followers.
It's crazy.
Like, that's nuts. That's insane. That is like value. So now he's going to break down the 4 sections of what the 6-hour video is all about.
1 is branding. Section number 2 is going to be content strategy. Section number 3 is going to be building your team. And finally, in section 4, we're going to talk about monetizing your brand. So the first section is branding. And I think that we should start off with some definitions here so that we are on the same page and everything that we discuss moving forward is from the same understanding. I define branding as a pairing of things. I define good branding as an intentional pairing of relevant things done consistently. And what you get from that is the byproduct, which is brand. Brand is when the audience inherently associates those things together. Let's use the most classic example known to man, Nike and Michael Jordan. Nike entered the basketball market and they wanted to have their audience or customers associate them with athletic greatness, specifically within the basketball industry. So what did they do? They intentionally paired themselves with greatness in basketball. Michael Jordan. I can't think of another name that's more synonymous with victory, with winning, with greatness. Or take Gary Vaynerchuk in content. The man literally wrote a book called Crush It. I don't even remember when it came out. I think 2009. And he was talking about how people are going to make money talking about the Smurfs on YouTube. The man is synonymous with content. And over time, his actions done repetitively have led us to draw that association. He has intentionally paired himself with content, among many other things. Or my absolute favorite that I always have to inject at any chance I get, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson, for many years in their marketing, has intentionally paired themselves with freedom. And so what is the association that the customer base draws upon when they think of Harley Davidson? Freedom, the open road.
What do you think about when you think of Gary Vee?
Oh, I think of him as like the guy that swears that is like no holds barred and just is really real and tells people how it is when it comes to
everything,
like from entrepreneurship or like life lessons, branding, marketing. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I do too. The first thing that comes to my mind with Gary Vee is the swearing component. The second thing that comes across is unlimited value.
Yes.
And knowledge.
Yeah.
And probably the third thing that comes across is like, I would say like best-selling author, but then it's not his books. Like I haven't even read any of his books.
Neither.
I've watched all of his content.
Yeah, his content always pops up on my social feed.
Yeah, so then I would say content, not like best-selling author. I would say
social content.
Yeah,
yeah.
What do you think about when you think of Harley Davidson? Because you and I are not like.
I think of rednecks, Westies.
What's a Westie?
In New Zealand, in Auckland, as an example, a Westie is what is known in Australia as a bogan. So a Westie would be somebody who has a mullet, although everyone has a mullet these days.
A mullet is now the in.
I know, but back in the 80s
or 50s,
70s and 80s, if you had a mullet, wore black tight jeans, had like a Metallica t-shirt, and listened to heavy metal or rock music, you were probably a Westie, and you lived out west Auckland.
Very true, and smoked weed. But actually, most people in New Zealand smoke weed.
Yeah, so then they may or may not have driven a Harley. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of that rocker ZZ Top type.
Yeah.
If you don't know ZZ Top, they're an old school band, but like they have a certain look and a feel and a vibe, and leather jackets, long beards, sunglasses. That's what I think of. What do you think about when you think of Michael Jordan?
Nike.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think of basketball.
And Chicago Bulls.
Well, yes.
But see, like Air Jordans, right? Air Jordans with Nike is like a like everyone knows what those are.
Yeah.
And I never even owned a pair, and I was never into basketball, but I knew who Michael Jordan was because of that branding element, that pairing. Yeah.
Interesting. If you just tuned in, thank you all for tuning in and watching us on YouTube. We're tuning into the latest course, which is from Caleb Ralston, who is Gary Vee's guy, Alex Mosley's guy. He has basically built a whole bunch of brands, 30 million followers across multiple accounts, and he is basically dropped his 6-hour brand video online for anyone who wants to watch it. We're watching it so we can share our insights on his insights for you today.
It's like insights on insights on insights.
It
road, tearing off their suit and going out and hitting the road. And so ultimately, what we are trying to do is think of what are the associations that we want our audience to inherently draw when they think of our name. And the beauty of this is it actually makes it operational for you. All you have to do is deliberately and intentionally pair yourself with the association that you want your audience to make. It takes all of the woo-woo fluffy magic out of what brand is, and it makes it something that you can actually fucking do. Now, real quick, my team and I put a lot of effort into building out this course and a lot of accompanying worksheets and playbooks. So please take advantage of them. What you're gonna notice is at the bottom of the screen here, we're gonna have little icons that tell you what sheet and how you can download it. I would highly encourage you, please download these sheets and follow along. Now that we know what brand and branding are, we need to define what your brand is. Now, your brand actually exists whether you define it or not. Your audience might be defining it for you. I would rather we be intentional and take control. The first step in defining your brand is defining your desired outcome. I like to work from the end goal and reverse engineer our way backwards. And so here is how I actually reverse engineer our desired outcome to today. It is called the Brand Journey Framework. And it's just 4 simple questions, but I can't tell you how many people have told me how impactful this was and gave them the exact roadmap of how to go about building their brand. So question number 1, again, like I said, we're starting from the end in mind and working our way back. So what is our desired outcome? What do we want to have happen? Question number 2 is, what do I have to be known for in order for that to happen? Question number 3 is, what do I have to do in order to be known for that? Unfortunately, building a brand isn't just about things that we say, it's about our actions. And so if we want to be known for something, in order to be known for it, we gotta do the shit to be known for it. And then finally, the last question takes us to right now. What do I have to learn in order to do that? So if I'm going to do things in order to be known for something to then get my desired outcome, well, right now, I might not know how to do those things. And so this gives you day 1 exactly what to do. You need to learn these specific items, and then you need to do those things, and then you will become known for those things, and then eventually the desired outcome occurs. If you have clarity on your outcome, this ensures that every decision you make along the way lines up with what you want to have happen. The majority of people that are building their brand online, that are posting content, I promise you, 99.9% of them have no idea what they're trying to accomplish with their content, with their brand. And so what they're doing...
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I was going to say that worksheet is an important one to fill out, actually, to get to figure out all of those things and your desired outcome. Because you can't just have this thing in your head where you're like, oh, I want to be known for being the best ice cream maker in the world, but no idea on how to get there, right? Yeah.
Or never done it before.
Yeah.
And so if you haven't done something before, like if your goal is so big you've never done it before, how are you actually going to get there?
Yeah, because you might try heaps of different things and then not really have a plan. So with that 4 questions is actually giving you a good way to make a plan forward. Yeah.
I think it's really important to obviously have a strategy in anything you do in business, or also content now, because content has become big business. And what we don't see, even with big brands, is a proper strategy on why they're making the content, what the purpose of it is, what it's supposed to drive, what the messaging is. A lot of brands these days are just pushing product. and just having product in people's hands and doing lifestyle stuff with the product, like, and all of that is usually stuff that no one really cares about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we've seen it. So like we've seen so much content over the 15 years we've been in business and marketing. And I can't tell you how many times we've seen stuff that has no relevance to consumers. And it's because they don't have that end goal in mind of like, what is this for?
Yeah. Because they just go, oh, we need to do everything, all of the things at the same time, just do it. And then because there's no direct line from the beginning to the end,
there's none.
You kind of, people lose their way.
Yeah. And why that's important, you will spend time, you will spend money, you will spend energy, and you will do all of that work and you'll get no result.
Yeah.
And what he's talking about is if you're going to spend the time, if you're going to spend the money, if you're going to put some energy and effort into this, then you might as well try to aim for some kind of result. Otherwise, you're just like, you're posting and building for no reason. I really like this. This is a great way to actually do a strategy.
Doing is they're wandering aimlessly. There's an amazing example that I love to share from Alice in Wonderland. There's a moment where Alice comes to a fork in the road. There's two different directions she can go. And the cat, Chester the cat, I believe is his name, and he's sitting in the tree. And she says, which way should I go? And he goes, well, where are you trying to end up? And she says, I don't know. And the cat responds with something so powerful. He says, well, then either way will take you there. If you do not have a desired outcome that you are making your decisions off of, you're going to go somewhere, but it might not be the place that you want to be. Now, after you define your desired outcome, I would argue probably the most important part of defining your brand is defining your associations or the associations that you desire to have. Ask yourself, what do I want to be associated with? What do I want the audience to think of when they hear my name? Here's an example. Do you want your name to be tied to business, trustworthiness, or mental well-being? Everything you create should reinforce those associations. This is where intentionality in branding starts. Everything you create should reinforce those associations. This right here is where intentionality in branding starts. So a very meta example here is that I am creating this course and the content that we're going to be putting out to intentionally pair Ralston, my consulting firm, with value, with scaling brands, with understanding attention, with building brands that not only scale, but last and build trustworthiness within their community. This is literally what I'm doing. I'm putting together a massive course right now that is going to outline all of this and consistently pair myself with those attributes that I want you to draw upon when you hear about Ralston Consulting. So
I think it's amazing that someone with his experience is doing this completely for free and giving so much value that like even people like us who are in the industry are able to draw upon a lot of what he's saying and go, holy shit, this guy's got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, because he does break it down in an easy way. But mind you, we're coming at it from a marketing point of view, so we understand it already. I don't know how would the general public fare, like how would they go with this information? I still think it's quite easy to understand for most people. Yeah.
The understanding of it is obviously going to be different depending on people's experiences, but I think regardless, you will be able to take away something.
Oh, definitely.
And 6 hours?
Yeah, plus worksheets. He's got worksheets, and so you've got to do your homework. It's
That's
not
cool,
like
man.
It's not like he's giving you all the answers and then you don't have to do any work.
No,
right?
He's giving a framework though,
Yeah.
and that framework has obviously helped so many of these other people he used to work with.
Yeah.
I just I can't believe he's doing it at that level. Which, you know what happens when people like this start doing this is it becomes the next wave of content, like, because the value he's giving at this level is so high now that if you don't have a 6-hour video talking about how to do something, then you're not going to measure up, right? So he's kind of like going, okay, all of the other coaches out there, all of the other agencies out there that are literally gatekeeping all this stuff, I'm just going to tell you how it is, and this is what I think. This is awesome. This is going to change the game long term for how courses and also content is made for people like him and us.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing like 2-minute videos or 5-minute videos on how to grow brand and stuff like that, but nothing this intense, or I haven't seen anything for free at this scale.
This would be our like 6 podcasts of ours.
Pretty much.
To do something like this.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot.
That's a lot of content, but we're
going to continue to create content
strategy.
Like this.
I love it.
Talking about scaling your brand. We are intentionally pairing ourselves with the relevant thing, scaling brands. And we're going to do that consistently through our content. Now, we just went over what you want to be associated with. I would argue this next part is far more important and something that 99.9% of people completely ignore, which is, what do you not want to be associated with? A lot of people make the mistake of assuming that brand is only about what you want to have happen. But a lot of what building a brand and a successful brand is, especially in today's saturated market where there's so many people online talking about the same subject matter as you can stand out by what you choose not to associate with. This is ultimately how you protect your brand. This is how you keep it from diluting and being misinterpreted. Think of how many people you see online whose reputation probably has nothing to do with what they wanted or what their desire was. Oftentimes, that is a byproduct of not being intentional with what they are not going to associate with. If you don't actively shape your associations, your audience is gonna do it for you. Now, this next little example and explanation here is gonna get a little technical. So I'm actually going to read off of the screen to the right of the camera right now so that I don't mess this up.
I'm just going to geek out on the setup that he's got right here. It's so simple, man.
Yeah.
Like to do this in a warehouse open. And it looks like a real simple setup, but he's actually like, he switches between like 4 to 5 different camera angles. 2 straight on, 1 this side where he shows the whole space, and then 1 side on. So he's probably got like 4 cameras that are filming him. And here's the geeky part, okay? He's standing on that photo paper, which we know how tedious it is to like stand on and mark.
Yeah.
He has no other marks on there. Like he literally got on there and sat down?
Yeah, he probably
and hasn't moved his feet like at all.
Yeah.
And is filming 6 hours of content while doing it.
Unless his shoes are extra clean, you know? Unless somebody gave him, like, you'd be terrible because you fidget and move around so much.
There'd be like 50 million footprints on that thing by now if it was me.
We would have to do it with socks on.
Yeah, or just bare feet, or just don't show my feet, maybe.
Yeah,
but I just think that's
he's probably
crazy.
Somebody probably handed him his shoes, and then he just put them on, and that was it.
You reckon he walked on there with socks?
That's my.
You reckon he walked on there with socks and then chucked on his Doc Marten boots?
Yes, and the Docs are very clean. Cause see how shiny they are?
They are pretty
They've
shiny.
obviously had a very good clean before coming on this video.
Imagine if they lowered them down, like from the top.
Yeah, I don't think they've done that.
Like,
no, it's not that technical.
Anyway, we're going back. I was just going to share that
because
little
I think it's
geeky
really
moment.
important, and I want to make sure that we go through this exactly how I meant to. If we believe that branding is a pairing of things, and that good branding is an intentional pairing of relevant things done consistently, and that then creates brand, which is when the audience inherently associates those things together, then we're on the same page of what brand and branding is. But what you'll notice is intentional is not a good or bad statement. Intentional doesn't mean right or good, meaning you could be intentional with pairing your brand, but with the wrong things done consistently. Unfortunately, what this ends up leading to is the audience drawing the association between your brand and those wrong things. Here's an example that I have to give a qualifier for. I have some pretty strong views and opinions on some of the online creators in the business education space. All love and respect to everyone. Everyone can do their own thing. This is Caleb Ralston's individual opinion, strongly believed, loosely held. There are some very scammy, sketchy motherfuckers in the online education space.
Yes,
they are untrustworthy, and they make content trying to ladder up to selling some bullshit course online. If you choose to consistently appear in content with them, whether it's them inviting you on their podcast or you guys doing a collab video together, if you do that consistently, AKA you intentionally pair yourself with the scam artist online, the untrustworthy character, the snake oil salesman, guess what happens? If you do that consistently, your audience will start to inherently associate you with that crowd.
You know who that reminds me of?
100% agree with that. Who?
Jay Shetty.
Shitty Jay, you mean?
Like, if you're a person that consistently appeared on his podcast or his things where he does public talks or whatever, because I feel like people are starting to wake up now and realize that he's a plagiarist. Plagiarist?
Yes, plagiarist. Or done plagiarism because he's a plagiarist.
Yeah, so...
For many...
So, like, you would not want to be associated with that, right?
Correct.
Even though he still gets some of the biggest names. But
He
so
does.
what does that say about those big names? Are they for real? Or are they all BS?
Are they all shitty?
Yeah.
It's true though, right? By association, everyone always connects what you're doing to who you're with.
Yeah.
It's always been a psychological thing that everyone has gauged what it is that you end up being known for, right?
Yeah, like you wouldn't want to, one thing we do as a company, we would never do the marketing for a tobacco brand.
No, because we don't smoke.
No, and nothing good comes from tobacco, like smoking cigarettes.
We also haven't done an alcohol company, have we? We haven't. I don't think we have.
No, we've worked with some in the past.
But I do
events.
drink. I'm just saying.
Nothing.
We haven't done tobacco though.
No,
gambling. We
wouldn't.
also haven't done a gambling brand.
No.
That's not something that we do either. But what's the reason why you don't want to do that? Because it's not something that you're interested in?
Because there's nothing good that comes from it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like there's no goodness in it.
Mm.
It causes so many diseases. So I don't want to be selling something to people that could cause them to be unwell.
You know what I want to do? This is what's really cool about having a live podcast is that when you get a delivery, you have to go off camera like Amber is to go and get that delivery. And so while she's doing that, we'll go back to
Is that good for trust?
No, Caleb.
Not at all. In fact, this is some of the biggest problems that you see with a lot of creators in the business education space right now. There are a lot of individuals that actually have a lot of value and a lot of good to add into the world and education and able to literally show people a whole new way to approach their business, their career. But the problem is they go on all these fucking podcasts with these individuals.
I love this.
That I cannot trust.
I totally
And by
love
doing
this.
that enough times, I no longer feel that I can trust that individual. So
you know why I love this so much is because there are a lot of shit podcast content creators that they actually have nothing to talk about. You know, like they're just famous because their dad was famous. I've watched heaps of these and like they're I don't know why I watch them because they're not actually entertaining, but they have no value. There's no value. All they do is talk about, oh, I got real drunk last night and then I went out and hooked up with some 50-year-old man and then I'm like 25 and then like it's a content piece, but it's valueless. And by association, anyone that goes on that podcast, whether they are good or achieved things in life or whatever, are just going to be associated with someone like that and just brought all the way back down.
Yeah. Well, obviously, some people like that type of content and they just want to. I don't, but some people like mind-numbing
content,
dumb stuff.
And then in the education space, which is what he's talking about, the business side of things, there are so many dodgy people that are trying to sell courses, that are trying to make you into a community VIP list where you go on Instagram and you do a DM and then you get this whole arbitrage of really crappy content. And it's just turned into a really shitty space to be. I don't want our business or our podcast to be known for that. I want us to be able to do high value, great content. You and I taking the shit out of each other all the time. And we have fun doing it. You know? Stuff like that is really cool. I like it.
as much as you want to pair yourself with the right things,
Value. Yes.
Please be diligent about what you choose not to associate with.
Thanks so much for
If you get a bad feeling in your gut, if you don't think that it's the right move, it's not worth the exposure. I'm going to open up the kimono here for a second. I have people right now, not a lot because I'm not that interesting, but I have a couple of people that have been asking me to come onto their podcast. And so far, I've said yes to everyone. But there are some individuals out there that I know will probably eventually reach out and ask me to come on the show. Now, if they have that kind of a brand, I will choose to not go on the show, even if it's the biggest audience that I could get in front of. Because ultimately, awareness is not worth the trade. What are those people going to be aware of? They're going to be aware of you in light of that association.
So true.
All right, we've defined our brand. So now we need to position it. Now your goal isn't to...
I think it comes back to your credibility, right? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be... What do you want people to think of you? Obviously, you know, you can't run your business just because of what people think of you, but you want to have high credibility and be trustworthy.
Yes.
Well, that's what we want. Many
Totally.
people don't give a shit about that, but Caleb does, obviously has, you know, high credibility and only wants to work with people like that.
And, you know, you and I have been in this business for a long time. We've seen really dodgy companies, agencies, other people that own companies like us who rip off clients, who tell them a whole bunch of bullshit when it comes to like doing things that they can do and can't do and try and charge more and do a whole bunch of dodgy stuff. We never wanted to be like that, right?
No.
We go high value. We don't even charge the same way that other agencies charge. And we position ourselves as someone that's credible, but high results and quality effort.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And we love doing that. And we've been doing it for ages. But it's not, we don't really talk about it though, eh?
No.
You know what I mean? Like there's testimonials, which we have so many from all our clients we work with over the years, but we don't go around making it a position in our brand.
I think it's because we
do it by showing people.
Yeah, that's it. And
that
it's the results. We show the results. But yeah, we're not those flashy guys that maybe we should be those flashy guys that are all like, look at my.
That's not us though. You know?
No,
like,
exactly. You're a bit of a schmoozer, but you're not too bad of a look at my. But you know, we would rather work on results and show good results than talk a big game and then not deliver, and then next minute we're those guys.
We're also focused on long game too. Yeah. When it comes to working with clients, we're not in it for the short deal or the fast money, because we know over many years and experience that just doesn't work. It doesn't exist. If you want to really build a brand, if you really want to be known for something, if you want it to last, there's only a particular way that you can do that. And Caleb talks about these things in his 6-hour video, but we've become known within that space for the things we do purely because we do it the way that we do it.
Yeah.
And the action shows the action and the results.
To just blend in. You actually want to find what is missing in your industry and own that gap. So it might be the information that you have. It might be the philosophy you have around a certain subject matter, like branding, for example. Or it might be your personality and your unique take on the same information. You might just be able to reach a whole different audience that wasn't able to connect with some of the other creators in that space. Ultimately, what you are looking for is the gap of what is missing, and then you fill it. Now, how do you go about finding out what is missing, or how do you own that gap? Well, ask yourself these two questions. What are the people that are currently creating content in the space that I'm wanting to occupy? What are they saying that I disagree with? How can I take what has been taught for years or shared for years and bring a fresh perspective to the table? Here's a really good example. If everyone in your industry is focusing on going viral and getting lots of views and always doing that, maybe leaning into building a long-term trust-built brand will stand out. That's what I'm trying to do here, right? A lot of my counterparts, who I love and respect, they emphasize virality and getting views. And there's a lot of benefit to that. But where I'm coming in and kind of filling the gap is there's not a lot of people online talking, especially in the form of free content like this, in a way that shares with you how to build a brand that lasts. If you just emphasize views, for example, the moment the algorithm changes, nobody's going and searching for your name. On the flip side, if you build a brand that has trustworthiness and deposits a lot of goodwill into the marketplace, the moment the algorithm changes, your audience will be searching for you. And so
it's a win-win strategy, right? The way that he's thinking of building the brand with value first, positioning himself within that gap, which I love. You know, it's always about what value you can offer and how that's going to work. I really love that.
Yeah, because, you know, if you're relying solely on getting views and going viral, well, because everyone is trying to go viral, then your thing is only going to last, you know, it's fleeting. It's like a fleeting moment, and then nobody knows about you again, right? So, and then the other thing to do with that is because you're going viral on a social media platform, if they decide to change their algorithm, and you're no longer seen anymore, then you're screwed. But if you actually build something of high value and where people can trust you, and then you have, like, you know, building up your subscribers to your EDM or whatever it is, that where it's taking people off that platform onto your website or something like that, then you are able to still communicate with your followers in another way.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Hey, Lo-Fi, thanks for the question on YouTube. We're discussing Caleb Ralston today. He has a 6-hour video, and we're doing the first hour today on our podcast, giving our 35 years combined experience on branding and marketing, which we own a marketing agency, and watching Caleb's content to really dissect the pieces that we think are valuable to people who are either a content creator, an influencer, a brand, a company, an entrepreneur wanting to build a brand in 2025 using digital, using social, and using online as a way to do all of that. So thank you so much for your question and also for tuning in today. But yeah, I agree with you. I think, you know, this space of of having brand and focusing on it in the way that he's doing really will carve out a community and a following that is going to be uniquely into what he does. And in today, that helps you to stand out from the market, because you no longer need to have the whole market. You only need to have your piece of that market. And everyone is always trying to go for everybody.
Yeah, it's too big.
It just does not work. And what he's talking about isn't about going viral. It's not about appealing to everyone or mass. It's about carving out your own little piece and being known for that and owning it, and then really pushing forward on it all at the same time. I think it's awesome. That's great. Good to meet you both. And I'm from India. Oh, nice. Thanks for tuning in all the way from India, my friend. Really appreciate you stopping by.
That is a prime example of me contrasting myself with the others in the industry. That's me noticing a gap where nobody's talking about this, or very few, and me wanting to fill it. Not only with my unique perspectives and philosophies, my experience doing this for 16 years, but also maybe a unique and quirky personality that some people will really hate, and then a tiny few of you might actually resonate with. Now, the other way to bring a fresh perspective is to share your story. So what I would encourage you to look at is, what is different about your story than everybody else's? Now, the obvious answer is everybody's story is different, right? But what is it that makes you uniquely you, that you can present all of your information, your beliefs, through that lens? Ultimately, your story is your brand's secret weapon. This is what makes you unique and makes you stand out from everybody else in the crowd. Nobody else has the same come-up story or origin story that you do. An exercise to help you do this is actually to list out pivotal moments in your story, in your life, challenges you've overcome, turning points in your career, that moment where you got laid off at your job and then all of a sudden ended up...
We have a story about that, don't we?
I don't know if we want to tell that story today. I'm not up to that one at the moment.
Oh, one day we might share that story about what are some other pivotal moments that you can think of with regards to our business that's happened over the last 10, 12 years, 15 years? I don't even know. It's been a while. 2009?
I mean, besides that one, which we won't talk about today.
We will one day, though. One day.
One day.
Okay. What is it?
I'm just trying to think of some of the pivotal moments.
I've got some.
Okay.
We're touring with Snoop Dogg.
Yep, that was cool.
And actually taking our client from Beats by Dre behind to meet him backstage. And the whole backstage was covered in weed because he was smoking like a chain smoker. And thankfully they didn't mind. That's a pivotal moment that I'll never forget. He was one of the first people that we celebrity that we took a brand backstage to go and meet.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
that was a big one.
It was a big one, and first tour with him and all the other artists on it as well. Chris Brown, him, there's heaps of them. T-Pain, and they're still around today.
Yes, that was a big tour. That was our start in the music industry here in Australia.
We are both couples, right? Yes, we are. Yeah, we're married, brother. We're married, and we're in business and have been for a very long time. Yes. Great question.
We are married.
Oh, I don't have one.
Oh. Yes, so the husband doesn't wear his ring every day.
Oh, look, I'm busy doing stuff. Busy. Anyway, what's your moment? I just got back from the gym.
I think my moment was just like executing really awesome activations for clients.
You mean marketing activations? Yeah, strategies and like
bringing
results.
Everything to life, from just a tiny little idea to like bringing everything to fruition. I think,
and then smashing the result.
Yeah.
Give an example. You also want a wife like that. That's great.
So that we can build a business together.
Look, I'll be honest, my friend. Being in business with your wife is both the most amazing thing and also the hardest challenging thing, all at the same time. But I wish that you would be able to have that opportunity and experience. I totally do. Amber, do you have anything to say to that? I think that's a great thing.
It is. You've got to find a good person to work with, because if you guys don't get on, then it's going to be very hard to run a business together.
Oh yeah.
So you got to respect each other and have fun. You got to have fun.
Fun's number one when it comes to marriage. If you can't have fun with each other, you're just gonna hate everything about it. You're not gonna enjoy it.
No.
We enjoy giving each other
shit
grief.
Yeah.
But it's good grief. It's not negative. It's
grief.
like we actually enjoy being together. It's kind of fun. We like it.
Yeah.
So what are you saying? So give me an example of an event that we've done or in a marketing campaign we've done. I've got heaps, but
I'm trying to think of something that's really pivotal for me and that made me go, wow, this is like pivotal. My brain's not there right now. You think, what's yours?
I would say not that this particular creator is someone that we're still working with, but the first campaign that we did with Lenovo, working with an underwater photographer, was incredible.
That was pretty awesome.
That was amazing. That was a big step up with regards to what we did with the brand. And it was a technology brand, and they were doing an eco-friendly thing. Another pivotal one is when we actually represented our own culture, working with Narino.
Yes.
And doing something in New Zealand, representing Māori culture, technology, his healing modality of what he does. I just think it was awesome. I love that one. That one actually made me cry.
That one made everyone cry.
That was a massive project.
Yeah, I loved that one too. That was a pivotal one, because then it shows that we can bring stories to life that some brands are too afraid to go into.
You're 20 years old and you're in college and you're pursuing B-Tech and AI. Dude, AI is the future, right? So if there's anything that I can say to anyone that's watching to do with marketing, is that there is going to be a huge future development within the AI space. So I would definitely add AI into any industry that you are looking to study, because you're setting yourself up for the future 10 years of business, which, let's be honest, no one's ever had an AI integrated world before. It's all brand new. So get in there before everyone else does. That's going to be a massive, massive future.
Raj, I'd say go back and watch some of our past podcasts on AI, and you may get some guidance there.
Yeah, we've got like 150 million AI versions of stuff on there. We just did one last week.
Yeah, we did heaps. We've done heaps.
All the jobs AI is going to replace for all the people that are in jobs at the moment. So go and watch those and check those out and let us know what you think.
Finding the next gig, and it's the greatest thing ever. And any unique experiences that have shaped your perspective. For me, working with Gary Vaynerchuk completely changed my perspective. I had a completely different understanding of what it meant to create content online with your audience in mind first, rather than making shit to make you look good. Share that shit in your content. And ultimately, like, stories resonate way more with people than you saying typical tropes and attributes like hardworking or innovative or hustling. Nobody gives a fuck about that. They want to hear.
Isn't it interesting over the years that we've done content, right? That swearing has just become normalized.
Yes, on some platforms and with some creators. I wouldn't say with all, though.
What do you mean?
It still looks...
Do you think it sounds unprofessional?
Yeah. Oh, for him, no. For him, it works because he's in this kind of setting. But like, when I see some spiritual creators, I don't like swearing.
I know I get told off from certain people when I do that on my content.
Yeah.
But that's just me, though. That's the thing, is like, I do that. I even do that in my sessions with clients. When I'm trying to emphasize something or I'm trying to like make a point, I'm like, that's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I will never in my readings say fuck. Never.
Oh.
But I'll say shit. That's about it.
You'll say shit. What's the difference between the two? Is one worse than the other?
There's a massive difference.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yes.
See, I grew up where they're all the same, and so it didn't really matter.
Do you ever say the C word?
Behind the hard work. For example, instead of me being like, I'm a hard worker, I would tell the story of when I was editing Gary V's Trash Talk series and how I would come in on Sunday and start editing 12 to 14 hours a day, Sunday through Thursday. And then I would arrive in the office at 6 a.m. on Thursday, and I would not leave the office until 2 p.m. on Friday. I'm not going to do the math for you right now, but I believe that's about 32 hours straight. The story, and if I went more into detail, would be far more compelling than me just telling you about working hard or how
He's like, that's Pooh, because he arrived at 6 a.m. on the Thursday and would not leave until 2 p.m. on the Friday. Pooh, I hope he had a shower, because Pooh... You know what I mean? Like,
I do now. But while you were making those random statements, I had no idea.
You thought someone farted. You was like,
I was like, huh? What is she talking about? Is she done? Did you do it? Was it you?
Maybe the cat just did a poo. Papa poo. Because I saw your face go.
Oh no! What is happening, man?
No, but see, that is true, right? Because he's going to keep talking about this, but not about smelling poo, but about. I don't think you should make any of your staff work from 6 a.m. Monday all the way to 2 p.m. the next day. Like, you need to rest, you need to go to bed, you need to have a shower.
If you've just tuned in, we are watching Caleb's video, his 6-hour workshop on how to build a brand. And during that, Amber has just decided to say out loud the word poo, which has no relevance to anything that was going on at this time.
Another example is, instead of Jeff Bezos talking about how resourceful he is, tell the story about how he used a fucking door as his desk. Nothing will say resourceful more than telling that story. Share your stories. That is what your audience is going to resonate with.
Share
for those of you who have made content online, the thing that you're probably very aware of is there's a lot of skepticism. There are a lot of objections that the audience has towards your content.
Oh, thank you for sharing this, Raj, with your friend. Welcome to the channel. Great to have you both here.
Especially if you are in the education space. Legitimately, the majority of people watching your content are thinking the entire time, why would I trust this? Does this actually work? Okay, cool, that worked for you, but does it work for me? How would it work in this scenario? Have you done this in multiple different industries? They are constantly thinking of their objections to what you have to say. And oftentimes, those objections and that skepticism appears in the comments. Here's what I would like you to do. Instead of allowing that to take place in your comments, start looking at your comment section, getting a greater understanding of the skepticism and objections that commonly occur within your audience, and start addressing them in the content. Just like a great VSL overcomes objections before a prospect hops on a sales call, treat your content the same way. Why would you not try to overcome the objections that your audience is going to have if ultimately your goal is to educate and change the actions of your audience after they consume your content? Why would you make it harder for them to do that?
We've actually worked with, different companies from all over the world, and some of them don't even want to acknowledge that they are or do have problems with product, problems with customer service, problems that their customers who have bought products even are going through, and they haven't acknowledged that, right?
They hide the comments.
And we have for years, we've been telling them, like, you either need to fix the customer service, turn it into something that's a surprise and delight, give them something for free, build more customer advocacy.
Just like answer their questions.
For so many years, we've been telling people to do that. And he's right. It's absolutely right. Because, if the brand was the customer, I'm pretty sure they would think differently.
But where do you draw the line?
With
what? With those responding to questions or comments? Because, on my other social media, which is not King Creative, on my Glow by Amber, I sometimes get trolls who are not even asking a question, but they'll just say real shitty things like,
yes, they do.
You're doing the work of the blah, blah, blah. This is evil, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So what's your question?
Do you address that, or do you hide that comment?
I would totally address it. I would address every troll, because they have taken the time to make a mockery of you.
Yeah.
But I would have fun with it. I wouldn't take it serious, because they're not actually being serious. They're actually being idiots, or they're actually being, well, not idiots. They're giving their opinion. They're giving their feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to give a real answer back to them, I would give a real answer to them.
Which I have done, and then they just come back with more insults.
Yep.
Back and forth, back and forth.
But then you're also talking about a specific type of person who's never going to be happy anyway.
Exactly.
Right?
They're
so
just
at a
trolls.
point, after you have given your answer, then you would just be like, he's not listening anyway.
Cut it off.
It's not like what he's talking about. He's not talking about someone who's trolling you. He's talking about someone that comes onto your thing and wants to have a discussion. Like Raj. He's come on our channel. He's talking about things. We're giving him some support on that side.
That's it.
If Raj was being negative and constantly in the chat around that, we would just
cut him off,
right? But it wouldn't happen straight away. You have to have dialogue to find out what the type of person is. And if your ones are trolls from the start, you kind of know they're going to be a troll.
Yeah.
But then you let them have one or two things.
Yeah.
And then if it keeps going and it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, if they call you a C, an F and C.
Well, anything like that. That's not like behavior that you want anyone to see. Doesn't matter what age or ethnicity or race or religion, right? But it wouldn't have happened straight away.
Sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe you need to change your strategy.
We cut them.
You cut them.
Let's make it easier by overcoming any objection or skepticism they're going to have about what you're saying in the content itself. If you address the skepticism and the objections proactively in your content, what you do is you build more trust and credibility.
Yeah. That's what he's saying right there. Using your own content to build the trust and advocacy. Because really, when people see that troll that you've had, and you continue to keep doing your lives and you continue to do those things, you get more advocates than you do trolls.
I do. Yeah.
And
yeah, it's
that's
always
exactly what he's
it's always
talking
on the ads.
Credibility.
Yeah.
When you answer
that's
the
not what he's talking
questions before they're even asked, you remove friction. And then it makes it easier for your audience to actually change their actions.
And then he's saying in your next content piece, so if you've had a troll on a live or a content piece that you've made, the next piece of content, you address that troll. In fact, I would even use his comment.
Yeah, thought about that.
But have you done it though? Because I would.
I have written full blog posts answering their questions.
Yeah, it's not the same as doing content. Like it's a blog post he's not going to see. A blog post your fans aren't really going to see. It's going to be certain people that'll read your blog. Whereas you could just in your next content piece straight after that, or even in the same day.
Yeah, like
or
what
the
you do on
following day.
TikTok. Yeah.
you address it. You have it up in there, and then have a discussion and get your people to come and see what they say.
And be educated.
That could work.
All right, the next one is don't be a fucking robot. This is something that a lot of people making content online really struggle.
Don't be a robot.
Don't be a robot.
When we first started the podcast, that was really tough.
Not being robots.
Yeah, like, you know, we weren't really like how we are now, were we?
No, we're more comfortable now.
But it takes a while, right, to get comfortable in front of cameras.
Yes.
To get comfortable knowing people are watching you and you don't even know who they are. It takes a little while to get past the robot phase.
I think it helps when you have somebody that you can just be yourself with and have fun with. If it's somebody like that you don't like and you don't want to be with, then it might be difficult.
It took ages for you to get the confidence up, and I already knew that you were going to be great on podcasting, on content. Just had to build your...
Build it up. I'm a little bit slow there. You know, I've got my cup of tea. I've got to get comfortable. Got my slippers on. Got my cat upstairs.
Gosh.
You know?
With. And I completely understand why. There's this weird object that you're talking into called a camera and a lens. And it's like this very freaky ordeal, right? Even right now, I am doing my best to be a human, not a robot, right? And bring my personality into this content.
I think this suits...
That's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we've worked with a ton of creators over the years, and there have been some that are amazing naturals on camera, some that are actors natural on camera, some who are models naturals in front of a photographer.
Yeah.
But there are certain people that just don't have camera appeal.
You know what I feel?
When recording.
This is easier for younger people than older people, obviously, because younger people have grown up with a phone in their face. Like your age. And older. No, but like our people our age and older, like we know our
21. I'm the same age as you, Raj. We're closely linked in age.
Our friends and say like my mum has never done a video to camera.
True. Very true.
You know, she doesn't even know how to look at the camera when the photo's been taken.
She has done a Zoom call.
She does Zooms, but that's only been she knows who the person is on the other side, right?
Very true. Yes, totally.
So for people like our age and a bit older, it's not a comfortable thing.
I can't tell you how many people I can see their talent and ability on the camera before they can, and how it usually takes someone between 12 to 24 months of making video content before they are not before they don't have this robot face.
Or no, but you know what it is a lot of the time.
Fear.
Yeah, and you don't want people to, because there's trolls, right? And then if people they do a video and then people go on there and go, oh, that was dumb, or your hair is yuck, or whatever.
Your hair is yuck.
I could say heaps of other things, but you know what I mean? And they insult you and go, oh, you're stupid and whatever. Then they can put people off.
Amber's words of today is poo, and your hair is yuck. It's been a long day for you, eh, my darling? Poo and yuck. But you're right. Judgment from people who you do not know is a fear. And I think we grow up with that, from a very young age of being judged, and that's where the real fear comes from, is when you try and stand out at school, or when you're in a group of yours, in a team sport, you get put down for being this flamboyant kind of
in
character.
New Zealand.
And you kind of need to have, you got to be flamboyant, like how he moves his arms. You have to be flamboyant, talk at the camera. You have to like feel authentic, and you have to do all of that all at the same time. But if you do any of those actions in a team environment, in a school environment, in a classroom environment, and even in a university environment, you will get judged. And that's why it's so hard for people to build this persona.
Unless you change your group of friends.
And you go out with more flamboyant people.
Yeah,
totally.
Or you are with other creators who don't give a shit, and that you would, who support you, or, Yeah, I think it's about, after a while, you either don't care what other people say and you just do it anyway because you know that's what you want to do.
And mine started at a very early age with my parents because they made us sing in front of
you're a performer.
The whole family and other families. And so there was, at a very young age, we had to get over it. And I'm talking like 8 to 10 years old, we were singing.
But
whether we
good
wanted
singer.
to or not.
Yeah. See, at least you're a good singer though. But it would still be nerve-wracking, right, when you were little?
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's your family you're singing around, not they're people you know.
Yeah.
Right? And so that judgment started at that age. And then after you get used to that level, I think it grew into other music performances and kapa haka in New Zealand, where we do all of that. And then eventually my own music career. And after all of those, after my own music career, that's when I just went, fuck it. I don't care what anyone says, and that's the place I try and get people to, is that stuff it phase.
Rather than just monotone giving the information that I want to. And part of being a human is sharing not only the wins, but also the losses. Share the failures that you've had along the way and the lessons that you learned from those failures. Think about it. The friend that you have that's always sharing how great everything is and how they just keep winning, eventually, one, they just become kind of fucking annoying, right? But two, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that life is so perfect and that everything is going exactly their way? No. Imagine not knowing this individual. So from afar, your audience is going to be even more skeptical of you if all you're doing is sharing all your W's. On the flip side, if you are vulnerable and you share your losses, what you will find is a lot more people will trust you and connect with you and relate with you. I actually think that losses are more relatable than wins. And we can learn a lot more from losses than maybe we can learn from wins. And ultimately, if you share your losses and the lessons learned from them, you help your audience potentially, if they choose to take action, avoid making those same mistakes.
I really like that.
Yeah, it makes the person or the brand more human.
Yeah, it does. And there's a genuine authenticity to failure, though, you know. In our, the way that I talk to my sons about being or looking at success, or even just looking at things they do in life, is there's win or learn. It's either win or learn. It's never a loss. And so it's taken them some time to adopt that into their way of thinking, that it's just as important for them to go and try new things. But even when they fail, it's not a failure. I think we put too much emphasis on mistakes being so bad that they're failures. And when you can turn it into a lesson, like what he's talking about, and you then can share that lesson or learning, that becomes super powerful.
Because you know what it is? The kids these days have grown up where there's no losses. Like everyone's a winner, everyone gets a certificate. And so everyone thinks that they're doing 100% all the time when they're clearly not. And yet, so that's why they're not learning. So when they actually get to the real world and then they do have a fail, they go, oh shit, I'm the worst person in the world because I lost that job and no one will ever like me and no one will ever employ me ever again, Instead of looking at it like, oh, okay, well, what could I have done better? And I'll make sure that I don't do that again. They go into this crazy void of, my life is never going to be good ever again. You know what I mean? Because they haven't experienced, like, and now when we were growing up, the parents were like, that's not good enough.
But that failure thing still happens whether you have kids that have been given anything and not. Like, we were kids that never got it. No. And yet when we failed, it was still bad.
It was still bad, but then we learn resilience. I feel like the kids these days don't have resilience because they're always told, oh, it's okay. It's not a failure. It's like, oh, no, you're still the best. No, they're not. They're not still the best. Like, learn from that thing. Yeah, I'm hard. But, like, the only one that's the best is our cat, and that's it. She's the best.
Amber is harsh. But you're right.
But you know what I mean, though, right? I think when you when you don't teach children the value of learning from a loss, then they will just continue to do mediocre things in their life.
And then how does that relate to this?
That relates to this because you've got to be able to, well, so if you never think that you've lost anything, so if you never think you failed, then all your content is going to be like, I am the best in the world at everything. And then you are a robot, you know, but you don't have those lived experiences because you are in this protected little bubble your whole life.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Parenting.
And we've literally only made it to 20 minutes of his podcast, and it's been an hour already. It's crazy, eh?
Jeez.
How long do you want to go for on this one?
I mean, maybe to the how long to the end of that?
Well, we're up to positioning your brand, which is a whole different segment, and then that's 26
to the end
minutes.
of that.
I thought we'd be doing like an hour of his stuff before we'd actually get through, but like 6 hours is going to take us so well.
We might take a while.
Anyway, we're committed. We will make this 6 hour.
Go to the end of the segment
session as much as we can and keep it
really
rolling.
Good example of this is someone that I worked for several years ago. When I started with her, her whole audience thought that she was a robot and viewed her as not human. She just came across as like information overload, and she was just sharing her knowledge, which was a lot, but it had no substance or personality to it. And so when I started working with her, it was my number one goal to show her human side, to take it from just information, just to like show personality, right? And this individual, she had an amazing personality. She was hilarious, so funny, quirky, everything. But you would never know that just watching the content. In fact, a lot of people would meet her in real life and be like, you're so much nicer and funnier than I expected you to be.
That's what
I
people
actually
say
kind of
about
expected
me.
you to be a jerk. But like, in no way was that the case.
Well, they go,
but you wouldn't know it from the content she was making. And so I really encourage you to do your best to bring your true self, bring your whole self into your content.
Whole self, Emma.
Seriously. It will make you stand out. There's nobody else that's actually like you. An example for sharing your
yuck haircut with a harsh discussion around poo.
But the cat can do no wrong, even when she does a poo and it's yuck.
Cat is queen, that's why. Cat is the queen. Oh, yes.
Failures is, in my first YouTube video, I share a failure. I share the story of how one of my main clients cut my monthly compensation in half. And I had to go and fire my friends that I had hired. That was a real shot to my ego. That's crazy. Isn't my favorite thing to share necessarily, but I think one, there's a big lesson that I shared that is accompanied with that failure. But also, I think that you guys watching it probably, if you did see that video, felt a little bit closer to me because I appeared more human. That transparency ultimately builds trust way faster than somebody who is just constantly posturing and trying to show you how fucking great they are. This next one is actually really tough for a lot of people to do, and I completely understand why.
That's the end of that segment.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, we've just
How to build the brand, which was about positioning your brand.
Yes.
And then he's going to go up to like framing the brand story.
That'll be next time or another time.
Yeah, I think like we covered this whole 6 hour segment. Like we've made it to 22 minutes. I thought we'd get through at least an hour within an hour.
I knew we wouldn't because we talk a lot and, you know, we go on tangents, mainly me. But
I'm glad you
that's
said
all
that.
part of it, right? That's the experience, and that's why we're not robots.
No, correct. And we also enjoy making the content that we do. And we actually like doing these podcasts, right?
We do.
Yeah. I'm really grateful that we actually get to do these together and that we've got time with which to do it, and that we also get to share our knowledge along with Caleb's to those people that are actually watching.
Yeah, because we've experienced a lot of what he's talking about as well. So it's nice to see that there's other entrepreneurs or, you know, companies out there that go through similar things, even though he's on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're not all caught up in the bullshit train, because like Amber and I, we have a big bullshit meter, and we try and stay away from people or brands within that bullshit range that just do not appeal to us.
Look, we've learned our lesson with working with some of those, and we kind of realized, no, we don't want to where we realize where we do want to be, where we don't want to be.
Yeah, and it's not that I'm focusing on that, because they were probably, as he's talking about mistakes and failures, they were the biggest lessons for us that actually allowed us to go in different directions that we now really enjoy. And it continues to grow in that way because we made the hard lessons and learned from them.
We did.
I reckon we should share some of those stories next time we come on board.
I think so. Maybe we talk about some of them.
Anyway, next week we're going to have another guest interview that's coming up on our Creative Talk podcast. Is it next week?
No,
it's next month.
It's going to be the 3rd.
The 3rd?
Yeah, so the 3rd of July we have another interview coming up. So next week we'll have another topic. Maybe we'll bring Caleb on.
I reckon we should do Caleb next week as well.
Okay.
Following on from here. And, do as many episodes and see if we can even make it halfway before the end of the month.
I don't think we will.
At least. Who knows? We might just make it 5 minutes in and then that's it. That's it. That's another hour gone. We've watched 5 minutes of Caleb, but we've talked crap for another hour.
Look, we're adding to it. We're making it chunky. Chunky and inviting. Yuck.
Today's podcast has had the word. No words is the word. We've had a lot of words from Amber today.
Look, I'm going to go and have a chocolate chip cookie now.
I've got one. Do you want one?
Did you steal them? Did you eat mine? We're not eating these, Robin. Oh. Don't tell our trainer we are eating chocolate chip cookies.
Look, we can share. I saved one, and that's your half eaten. Anyway, that's us for another week of Creative Talk. We are delving deep into the brand and all things Caleb, who is sharing his 6-hour course. We will go into another episode segments of those next week and continue on with this and try and make it into a series of content where we can help you give our insights while Caleb's giving his, so that hopefully we give you a whole bunch of value with whatever you're trying to build out there. And
we'll be back at 4 p.m. next week.
Oh, we will be, yes. And then we have our next guest that's going to be on our podcast, which is Dion Freeman from Healing Aotearoa in New Zealand, who will be live with us in July.
July the 3rd.
So a whole lot to look forward to in the show. We're going to leave by eating some chocolate cookies and nice. Try not to show our trainer that we're actually doing that all at the same time. We hope you guys have a good week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Great to see you all here. Take care until next time.